There was a small town where an old, abandoned school stood at the edge of the community. The building had been empty for years, left to decay with broken windows, peeling paint, and rusting doors. It was said that something strange happened there long ago, though no one could remember exactly what. But the townspeople warned others to stay away, especially after dark. They believed the school was haunted, though no one could prove it. Still, some didn't believe in the ghost stories. One evening, a few curious people decided to explore the old school for themselves. They thought it was just an empty building, nothing more. It had rained earlier that day, and the air was damp and cold as they approached the rusted gate. The wind howled through the trees, but they ignored it, pushing the gate open with a loud creak. As they entered the schoolyard, the building loomed before them, silent and still. The moonlight reflected off the broken windows, casting strange shadows across the ground. They hesitated for a moment before walking up the old stone steps and opening the door. It was heavy and groaned as it swung open. Inside, everything was dark, except for the pale light streaming in from the shattered windows. The floorboards creaked under their feet as they stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and a strange coldness hung in the air. The long, empty hallways stretched ahead of them, with old lockers lining the walls. Everything seemed frozen in time, as though the building had simply been abandoned in a hurry. Papers lay scattered on the ground, and faded posters still clung to the walls, their colors long since drained away. At first, everything was quiet. They walked through the halls, peeking into classrooms where desks and chairs sat in disarray. The silence was almost comforting, making them think the ghost stories were nothing but old town gossip. But as they moved deeper into the school, strange things began to happen. It started with faint sounds, soft whispers coming from nowhere, the creaking of doors that had not been touched, and the feeling that something was watching them. The deeper they went, the colder it became, until they could see their breath in the air. The whispering grew louder, though they couldn't understand the words. It was like a conversation happening just out of earshot, but there was no one around. Their footsteps echoed through the empty halls, and suddenly there was the sound of footsteps behind them, slow and deliberate. They turned, but no one was there. The air felt thick and heavy, and the whispers grew louder, now coming from all directions. It was as though the walls themselves were speaking, trying to tell them something they couldn't understand. Their nerves were beginning to fray. As they continued, they found themselves standing in front of a large door that led to the old auditorium. Something about it felt wrong, but they opened the door anyway. Inside, the auditorium was massive, with rows of empty seats facing a dark, empty stage. The air was even colder here, and the silence was deafening. Then, from the darkness, they heard it, the old school bell ringing. It was faint but unmistakable, echoing through the room. The sound sent chills down their spines, and before they could react, the door behind them slammed shut with a force that shook the floor. They rushed to open it, but it was stuck. Panic set in as the room seemed to close in around them. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the stage. It was barely visible, a shadowy outline that seemed to flicker like a candle in the wind. Its eyes glowed faintly, watching them with an unnatural stillness. The air grew colder still, and the whispers turned into a low, eerie hum. The figure disappeared suddenly. They are fully feared and rushed from there, and conditioned fully like they are died. But fastly, they back to town and come back in school. Thanks for watching this video, and subscribe to my channel for more videos.